Paper Rex are breaking the Valorant meta again, and this time it's not just some strange agent composition or aggressive playstyle. Paper Rex's use of the Outlaw is going to completely change how everyone plays the game, and you need to be ready. Riot added the Outlaw to Valorant as the first new weapon since the game's release, and that generated a lot of hype. But after the initial content creator storm of "this gun is broken" or "this gun is trash," everyone promptly forgot it existed and continued playing regular Valorant. Until I watched Paper Rex play during the VCT kickoff tournament, the only Outlaw usage I had seen made it seem like a super overpriced Marshall that people bought in round 2 after winning Pistol and then discarded after the bonus round. This never made any sense to me, and I think is completely the wrong way to use the gun. Why not just buy a Marshall that also one-shots ecoing players with no armor and costs way less if you lose it, and also lets you potentially buy up in round 3 if you want to play with an aggressive economy? So what changed my mind about the Outlaw so quickly? Well, for starters, 2023 was the year of the Light Shield, as Fnatic won multiple tournaments using this strategy, and it was detailed in several videos and talked about constantly on the broadcast. Almost everyone started buying Light Shields and pushing for those extra buy rounds that you get by doing so. It got to a point where people were calling for Riot to increase the price of the Light Shield because of how prevalent the strategy was. Instead, Riot dropped the Outlaw, which in my opinion now is actually the answer to the Light Shield meta and potentially the most powerful weapon in the game. You see, because of the Light Shield meta, the economy management in Valorant has gotten extremely sloppy, with people forcing out extra weapons and utility on eco rounds, knowing that they can just go rifle plus Light Shields in the following round if they lose. But watch this round from Paper Rex on Sunset, and yes, that is a KO with an Outlaw. As we can see, Gen G is coming into their first buy round of the map with a pretty standard setup in the current economy meta. All 5 players have rifles, but 3 of them are on half shields because they failed to plant the spike in rounds 1 and 2 and barely got any kills while likely overbuying utility. As a result, the Outlaw can kill 3 out of the 5 players with a single shot to the body. Now, this is where we need to shift how we're thinking about the game a little bit. If an Outlaw can one-shot a player in the body, it's essentially as if the Outlaw has transformed into an operator. So this means that against 60% of Gen G's players, Forsaken on the KO is using an operator. Watch as Gen G bursts into the B site and Forsaken is able to dodge the flash and then one-shot Skye, who only had light shields. He also hits the satcheling Raze in the legs with his second shot before falling back into market to reload and reposition. Now that Raze is damaged, it's just another player that the Outlaw can pretend to be an operator against. After repositioning, Forsaken one-shots Cypher, who also came into the round with light shields, and then finishes off Raze with his second shot. It's as if Forsaken has used the op against all 3 opponents that he just killed, completely decimating Gen G's full buy round. And even though Paper Rex manages to throw this round away, it still sets them up super nicely for round 4, since now everyone on Paper Rex is buying and 4 of the Gen G players died, which means that they now need to force up with light armor even though they just won the round. In round 4, we can see that Forsaken actually has the money for a rifle, but chooses to buy the Outlaw again, knowing that his 2400 credit weapon functions as a 4700 credit weapon against 80% of the Gen G team. Even though he dies early in the round, Paper Rex wins and puts Gen G on yet another eco round, and again we can see Forsaken buying the Outlaw. Even though he probably could have bought the Marshall here for the same effect, he cleans up the kills easily, and at the end of the round we can see him upgrade to a rifle to give to one of his fallen teammates in the next round. In round 6, Gen G actually has enough money for full armor and rifles on all of their players, so we see Forsaken give his rifle that he picked up to one of his teammates and then buy one of his own. Gen G is able to scrap out a win in round 6, but they lose so many players that the following round 3 of them are once again stuck on light shield with a rifle, and once again Forsaken opts for the Outlaw against this 3 out of 5 ratio. And remember how Forsaken had given his rifle a couple rounds ago to Something, which meant that Something didn't have to buy anything? Well, now Something has enough money for an operator, which essentially gives Paper Rex a double op setup on defense. They win the round easily despite neither scoped weapon finding a target, and it drops Gen.G to yet another eco round where the Outlaw can act as an operator again. Forsaken actually used the Outlaw in 8 out of the 12 rounds on defense, and Paper Rex smashed Gen.G 10-2. It seems like the magic number for Forsaken is 3, because every time 3 or more opposing players were on half shields, he would buy the Outlaw, even if he could afford a rifle instead. And it makes perfect sense to me. You see, the Outlaw is not a weapon that wants you to try and double shot full armor players. It's also not a weapon you buy against eco rounds and then replace on the following one with a rifle. Just buy a Marshall if you're gonna do that. The Outlaw is actually a half-price operator that fires at twice the speed of the original Chamber Ultimate, as long as you buy it on the correct rounds. If used correctly, this weapon can utterly dominate the game by wrecking poorly managed enemy economies and massively boosting your own, while also allowing you access to operator level power on far more rounds than should be possible. And the effects are even greater than that, as we can see at the very end of the half in this Paper Rex versus Gen.G game. Look at Gen.G's buy in the final round of the half. They just lost a full buy with full armor and rifles in the previous round, and it cost so much that none of them can afford to buy a Vandal or a Phantom despite being on a full loss bonus. Additionally, this is a situation where you might see some players picking up half armor plus a Guardian to try and outduel a rifle at long range, but because Forsaken's Outlaw has been so oppressive, Gen.G has opted for Spectres and Bulldogs with full armor instead, and this severely limits their strategic ability to spread out across the map and try to take aim duels. I am 100% sure that the Outlaw is going to cause a massive shift in how Valorant is played this year and beyond, so you better be ready.